It's been more than 6 years since the iPhone 7 was released, and even after so many years, a lot of people still use this device. The iPhone 7 has been one of my favorite releases ever, and I used it a lot during this time. In this video, I'm going to do a retro review of the iPhone 7 and tell you if it is still usable in 2023. When it comes to the build quality, as you know, the iPhone 7 is made of glass and aluminum. The front is obviously glass, while the sides and the back are entirely aluminum. The iPhone 7 still feels premium in the hand, despite being so old now. As you can see, my unit has many scratches, but considering its age and how much it has been used, I think it is still in a good condition. The front of the iPhone 7 feels very outdated because of its big bezels all around. The 7 is also the first iPhone to be IP67 water and dust resistant, but if you did change the screen or the battery, the new unit has lost this feature. One of the areas where this device hasn't aged well is with the display. The iPhone 7 has a 4.7-inch LCD display that isn't even 1080p. This panel doesn't get that bright outside, and it lacks the contrast of OLED displays, for example. Even if we compare it with the iPhone SE, the iPhone 7 looks a lot worse. Personally, I don't enjoy anything on this display, since it doesn't have good colors and it is too small with big bezels. It does, however, have a nice feature, which is the 3D touch. The last major update for the iPhone 7 was iOS 15. With this version, the iPhone 7 still works fine. Its UI is fluid, and while doing simple tasks it doesn't lag. It misses, however, the new features of iOS 16, and if you like the new lock screen customizations, then the iPhone 7 isn't for you. This device is powered by the Apple A10 Fusion chip, and despite being so old, it actually is still good. You can play games and do many other tasks, and this chip can hold them all. It isn't the fastest and it takes more seconds to load the games, but I think for its age it is still doing fine. The base storage is 32GB, which isn't enough in 2023, but just for a bit more money you can grab a 128GB model. It has 2GB of RAM, and for the most part it does the job, but if you leave many apps open it will refresh some of them. Another area where the iPhone 7 feels its age is with the camera. The rear camera is actually not that bad, and during daylight it can take good images, even though the dynamic range is pretty much non-existent. It is low light where this camera becomes unusable, since it has a small sensor and it doesn't support night mode at all. The front camera is terrible in daylight and in low light. When taking selfies, my face doesn't contain any details. The iPhone 7 can record videos up to 4K at 30 frames per second, and I would say it has good stabilization, but videos aren't really that sharp to justify the numbers. The iPhone 7 is the first to have stereo speakers, but they aren't really that loud. I remember back in the day the difference with the iPhone 6s was enormous, but nowadays speakers are much louder and clearer. This device is also the first that came without a headphone jack, which caused a lot of backlash, but eventually everyone followed this trend. Probably the worst thing about this device in 2023 is the battery life. The battery life on the iPhone 7 is just terrible. Today every phone comes with a big battery capacity, but this wasn't the case with the iPhone 7. Even in 2016 the battery life of the iPhone 7 wasn't that good. During this time I used many iPhone 7s, and neither of them ever managed to get me through a day, no matter if the battery health was at 70% or at 100%. Since it is made of aluminum, the iPhone 7 does also miss wireless charging. The iPhone 7 has the second generation Touch ID embedded on the home button, and it works flawlessly. Personally, I prefer Face ID, but Touch ID isn't bad at all. So is the iPhone 7 still usable in 2023? Well, I think it is, but it has many drawbacks that make the experience not good at all. The display, the low light capabilities of the cameras, and the weak battery life are the reasons why I don't recommend this device to anyone. The iPhone 7 isn't all bad, and I think it works for two types of people. First, for old people who only use it for callings. and second for children who play games but don't understand the quality of the display. And even then, if the battery is under 90%, they won't be settled. So this was my review of the iPhone 7 in 2023. If you did enjoy this video, a thumbs up would be appreciated. Thank you for watching, and please consider subscribing to my channel for more content like this.